how do we spice things up? It's a new season. It's the playoffs. How do we do this? And I came up with an idea of a tiers list. And it's not just S tier, A tier, B tier. Oh, no. That's way too easy. I made up my own tiers. We're going to start with the teams that didn't make the playoffs in a segment I call Football Farewell. I would play the Boyz II Men, It's Too Hard, but I don't want to get sued. So we're just going to keep going with this. Football Farewell, we have the Be Fucking For Real tier, the 2025 All-Stars, the Sam Cooke tier, and the Missionary Position tier. Don't you worry, I'll explain what every single one of these tiers mean. Let's start at the bottom, the Be Fucking For Real tier. It is exactly what it sounds like. In order for this team to succeed next year, y'all need to be fucking for real. First up on the Be Fucking For Real tier is the New York Jets. If the Jets don't get a backup plan for Aaron Rodgers this year, they're just as batshit crazy as he is. Not having a backup plan literally tanked their season this year. Surprise, surprise, a 40-year-old quarterback might be prone to injury, especially if you don't have a good offensive line in front of him. Let alone the fact that that backup plan was Zach Wilson, which thank God they already announced that they're going to ship him out of town. Compounding mediocrity on top of mediocrity is the Jets' tale as old as time. They need to flip the script at some point. Problem is, they only got about $16 million in cap room, and like I said, they still have to fix that offensive line. They got some defensive players that need some contracts coming up. So they're in a little bit of trouble, but Joe Douglas got him into this mess. God damn it, he has to get him out of it. Next on the Be Fucking For Real tier, we have the New York Giants. This is the first team in the history of the NFL where your starting quarterback coming back is a bad thing. And to make matters worse, they still won't commit to signing Saquon Barkley. The audacity of these guys. After watching not one, but two different quarterbacks come in and immediately make the offense look better than it ever did under Daniel Jones this year. The first thing that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll did when they came back to their press conference this year is say, oh yeah, we still have all the confidence in the world in Daniel Jones. Based on what? But Saquon hasn't showed y'all enough to guarantee a long-term deal. Okay, this is where I need y'all to be fucking for real as the Giants. You messed up with the Daniel Jones contract. You are going to continue to compound this mistake by also alienating Saquon Barkley, because if you franchise tag him again, there's no reason he should take another step at MetLife Stadium. You have the number 6 pick. I don't know if you'll be able to get a quarterback at that spot, but with the luck y'all have, you might end up fucking up that pick too. That's the exact pick that y'all drafted Daniel Jones at, so maybe y'all shouldn't draft a QB. Go somewhere else with it. Next on the Be Fucking For Real tier, we have the Chicago Bears. You have just failed in developing one first-round quarterback. What have you done to ensure that that does not happen again? Do you have the infrastructure in place to make sure that doesn't happen again? If not, which, let's be honest, the answer is no, how do we fix this? You have 2 top 10 picks in one of the greatest offensive drafts we've seen in the past at least 10 years. $62 million in cap space. If this isn't the offseason to get it done, I don't know what is. As far as we know right now, they plan on keeping Matt Eberflus. I think that's if Jim Harbaugh says he wants to coach for the Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus is out the door. So we'll see how this goes. Last on the Be Fucking For Real tier that was on the 2025 All-Stars until this morning when they fired Mike Vrabel, you fucking idiots. Who do you think you are to fire one of the 5 or 6 best coaches in football? Why? Here's just a rule of thumb for every GM, owner, and anyone who runs a team. Just float the rumor out there that you're thinking about firing your coach. If all of football media calls you an idiot, don't fire your coach. I don't feel like that's that difficult, is it? You know that you gutted your roster. That's why you fired the last GM. And with said gutted roster, Mike Vrabel still kept y'all competitive in games y'all had no business being competitive in. You beat the damn Dolphins, and they were 1 away from being a 2 seed. But still, you got the 7th overall pick in the draft, and you have just under $80 million in cap space this offseason. Do not shoot your load. There is no coaching signing you can make. There's no draft pick you can make. There's no free agent you can sign this offseason that is going to make you a Super Bowl contender. Sit back, comport yourself, get your shit together for a year, and maybe, just maybe you can be a 2025 All-Star, but I still need y'all to be fucking for real first. Next, we got the 2025 All-Stars, and the original premise of this was, hey man, it just ain't finna happen for you next year, but there's hope for you the year after. That was back when the Titans were still a part of this tier. Now it's just there's no hope for you this year. And the lone team on this tier is the Carolina Panthers. And oh boy, Panthers fans, this year could not have gone worse. You trade for last year's number 1 pick, just for you to exit the year and still not be sure about the quarterback you drafted at number 1, whether fair or unfair, end up being the worst team in the league, which you probably would have been anyways if you never would have traded for that pick. In a draft year where the number 1, number 2, and probably even number 3 quarterbacks are significantly better than the first quarterback prospect last year, your whole coaching staff gets fired. Your owner is auditioning to be part of Real Housewives of Charlotte. What self-respecting coach is going to take this job? What self-respecting GM is going to take this job? He wouldn't even have draft picks to trade to improve this roster. They only have 6 picks in this year's draft because they traded for the aforementioned Bryce Young. Hold it down for one more year, Panthers fans. Just watch Cam Newton's podcast to hold you over so you can have some way, shape, or form of Carolina-based entertainment for the next year. Next tier, we got the Sam Cook tier because it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. If you are a team on this tier, then oh, baby, change is gonna come if it has not already. First of which was the Washington Commanders, who were already on this tier. And then as I was typing it out, Ron Rivera very literally got fired as I was typing. And when I tell you everybody at the Commanders is about to get fired, Ron's already out the door. The GM's out the door. I heard the ball boys next. If you work at the Commanders, I hope you have been keeping your resume updated. Oh, baby. They're already neck deep in their GM and coach search, including bringing in Bob Myers, which a lot of people were killing Josh Harris for. Hey, look, finding someone capable of running a team, I'm not too mad at the person who figured out, hey, we should bring in Steve Kerr over Mark Jackson, even though Mark Jackson's already working, and Steve Kerr proceeds to ring 4 rings for my franchise. Anyone with that type of foresight, I would like to have on my side of the thing. So let's let them cook. For all you know, it's still the Commanders, so who knows? Maybe this still might fall flat on their face, but let them cook. I want Commanders fans to know, although you are more than likely getting a new quarterback, and the most likely scenario is you trade way too much to move up one spot to get Caleb Williams. Only a new quarterback is not going to save you. Sam Howell was the most sacked quarterback in football last year. All you're doing is setting your next rookie quarterback back up there to have the same thing happen to them. You got $85 million in cap space this offseason. Whoever you hire with the new GM better get on them phone lines, quick, contact every agent they know, and get ready to make some moves. Next on the Sam Cook tier, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Firing Antonio Pierce will be the biggest mistake the Raiders have made since their last head coaching hire, which means that's exactly what's about to happen. Rumor has it that they want Harbaugh, but he knows you can't win in this league without a quarterback. So why the hell would he take that job? And please don't do the whole, all AOC needs is a full offseason where he knows he's a starter. That never works. If you didn't think he had it last year, he's not going to have it next year. Spare yourself the trouble. This is how I predict their offseason is going to go. They're going to strike out on every big name coach they want to hire because why would anyone want to go there? They're going to piss off Antonio Pierce in the process and run him into the arms of the New York Giants coaching staff and end up flat on their face again. Next step will be trading off all their vets and getting ready to tank for Shedeur Sanders the following year. Next in the Sam Cook tier, sadly, we have my New England Patriots. As I sit here right now, I still don't have news on the Bill Belichick updated firing, hiring, whoever. We don't know. I do have rumors. Rumor number 1, obviously, is the Tom Curran story that they already decided Bill Belichick wasn't coming back next year after the Germany game. To that, I would say, if that's the case, then why is he still employed and working in the building right now? If you knew you were going to get fired, are you going to keep showing up to work? Just saying. Next is the holdup as to why he has not been fired yet is because they want to trade Bill Belichick, and I'm not sure you could trade a coach when the season is still going on. Somebody smarter than me is going to have to answer that for me. And rumor 3 is they were hoping and praying that Mike Vrabel ended up getting fired or wanted to quit from the Titans. They finally got their wish, and now they're going to move on firing Bill Belichick. I'm be honest, I've been on the I want to keep Bill Belichick train all year long. If you've listened to this podcast, listen to me, period, you know that's been a train I've been on. However, I'm not mad at Mike Vrabel. Not mad at Mike Vrabel at all. Mike Vrabel comes in, go grab Wes Walker from the Dolphins, let him be offensive coordinator. Rob Mayo's already on the staff, defense coordinator. Matt Slater runs the special teams. Just have to be a whole Patriot reunion. Tom Brady's partial owner of the Raiders, so he can't come and, join the party, but that's fine. He can watch some games. Next on the Sam Cook tier is the Los Angeles Chargers, who should have had a change come last year, but stupidly decided that they wanted to wait a year. The same coach that they're going to try and hire this year, Jim Harbaugh, already wanted to go there last year. So now they're going to probably have to pay him more and give him more power just because they just had to stay with Brandon Staley. If that's not a Chargers mistake, I don't know what is. My only concern is that Jim Harbaugh runs a little too dated of an offense, and most of us don't want to see Justin Herbert in a J.J. McCarthy-esque role where he's just making the throws where we need him to make it. But my friend Dave on the Opening Kickoff podcast made a great point. I kind of put these words in his mouth, but this is what he alluded to. He said, what if Justin Herbert's a rich man's Jared Goff, and that's just the best role for him, and he's just the best version of, if you need this throw, you know good and damn well I'm making this throw. And that's a better role than we're going to have you throw the ball 45 times. I like that idea. Me personally, I like that idea. Next on the Sam Cook tier, we have the Denver Broncos. And I need y'all to answer, who is the Denver Broncos quarterback next year? Because it's not going to be Russ. They are in the negative of $19 million on the cap. That does not include the $35 million cap hit that Russ is going to add. So that is going to put them somewhere in the area of $55 million negative. They're going to have to gut this roster. They're not going to have the money to sign a big quarterback. They have the 12th pick in the draft, so they don't have a pick high enough to sign a quarterback. They don't have the draft capital to trade up for one. Honestly, they probably should have been in the 2025 All-Stars category, but a change is going to have to come because you're getting ready a quarterback, so change is on the way. Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons, and this is the most attractive head coaching job in the entire league. Hands down, bar none. You're following a coach that the fan base and the whole league hated in Arthur Smith. If you follow this podcast, you know I celebrated from a good, healthy place when they sent Arthur Smith's ass to the curve. But through Arthur Smith's tenure, it showed that the ownership and front office is going to let you cook. Sometimes they're going to let you cook too much. There's a defense on the come up. You have the best supporting cast on offense this side of San Francisco, and you get to pick your quarterback. It doesn't get better than this. Number 8 pick in the draft, $36 million in cap room. Bruh. If the Falcons nail this head coaching hire, which they should, because who wouldn't want to go there? And you get to live in Atlanta. Come on now, this is a win. And last team on the Sam Cook tier, the New Orleans Saints. And oh boy, you have a head coach that the fan base hates, a quarterback that the fan base hates. And because you're in cap hell, you can't afford to fire either one of them. They are dead last in available cap room at, this number's going to make your jaw drop, negative $75.9 million. Nigga. They might actually break out in the song and sing A Change Gonna Come in the entire Superdome as fans, because Jesus Christ, it looks hopeless for the Saints next year. It's like a worse version of what happened with the Chargers. You're going to keep your head coach for a year too long. Only difference is, instead of having Justin Herbert, you got Derek Carr. Yikes. All right, last tier, we got the missionary position. That's exactly what it sounds like. You're in a missionary position. It's basic. You gotta put your work in. Don't get me wrong. You gotta put your work in. I'm trying not to get too graphic so I don't get kicked off YouTube. But you gotta put your work in. But it's missionary position. We're gonna keep shit basic. We're gonna keep shit simple. And we're gonna make the movements where we need to. First up, the Arizona Cardinals. Hey, y'all remember when we thought the Cardinals were tanking? That was fun, right? Now, they're the most hopeful 4-13 team we've ever seen. They've already committed to keeping Kyler Murray, as they should. And now they end up getting Marvin Harrison Jr. for their troubles, more than likely. Because they have the 4th pick. I don't know what the Patriots should do in the 3. Not important. Turns out Jonathan Gannon can actually coach his ass off. And if you don't think the Cardinals are good enough proof of that, just go look at the Eagles defense right now. With $51 million in cap space, if you're the Cardinals, hey man, you make a couple smart moves here or there. You don't need no big splashy free agents. For what? Roll the team out real healthy next year. Year 2 of Gannon, fully healthy Kyler. Y'all can go ahead and compete for some stuff in the NFC next year. Why the hell not? Next, in the missionary position tier, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. If relax and run it back was a team, it'll be the Bengals. Start the year off with Joe Burrow on one leg, and then just when things start to go your way, he breaks his wrist. That's just a bad beat. If there was ever a scenario where T. Higgins and Jamar Chase can look at each other and be like, you know what, bro? I'm going to hold off on my extension. You go ahead and sign this franchise tag. Let's just run it back for a year. Because you have to feel like you got cheated out of a ring if you're on the Bengals. Outside of the Ravens in the entire playoff field, is there a team that you feel like the Bengals can definitively not beat? And even with the Ravens, it's a divisional matchup. You never know with those things. I say you charge this year to the game. You give it one more year and run it back next year. Next in the missionary position tier, we got the Minnesota Vikings. Why are the Vikings in such a rush to get rid of Kirk Cousins again? I heard they were going to all season long, but why? They went 7-10. They were 4-4 when he got hurt. You're telling me Kirk Cousins is worth 3 more wins? They had the one black quarterback to ever play at BYU in the lineup. Brian Flores has a defense on the come up. Jordan Addison looks like a superstar. Worst case scenario, they end up signing Justin Jefferson to a franchise tag. Get the damn deal done. Come on. You have one of, if not the best receiver in football on your team. Sign his goddamn contract. TJ Hockenson will be back. They have the best left tackle not named Trent Williams or Christian Darrisaw. Now, you got to upgrade our running back because Madison's not it. You have the 11th pick in the draft, and before you say that's too high to draft a running back, I would like to remind you that Jahmyr Gibbs is in their division and scored on them 3 times this year. Just saying. Next in the missionary position tier, we have the Seattle Seahawks, and they're in this tier because if you ask me how to fix the Seahawks, I do not have an answer for you. The problem is not personnel. Their problem is health and performance. People think Geno fell off. No, when the offensive line lost its health, kind of hard to be Geno Smith and take all the deep shots you want downfield when you don't have the blocking to do so. Along the lines of personnel being hurt, when they're not out the game, they still look like they have lingering effects from the injuries. See Jamal Adams, who clearly is not the same player he was 2 years ago. And the Reek Woolen situation just looks weird. He went from last year, are we sure he's not better than Sauce Gardner, to another DNP coach's decision? What the hell happened? So I honestly, someone who's more familiar with the Seattle situation is going to have to put me on game because I don't know what the fix for Seattle is. So for right now, we're just going to stay in the missionary position to see if we can make shit shake. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're in this division by default because I don't even know how they ended up not being in the playoffs, to be honest. But there's a big question that the Jacksonville Jaguars have to ask themselves. Is Trevor Lawrence a $280 million quarterback? Because he's due for an extension, and that's the price. Now, we've given Trevor Lawrence a lot of leeway, and I'm not even saying we shouldn't have. A lot of it's justified. If I had to play under Urban Meyer, I'd be pissed too. But outside of the second half of that Chargers playoff game, has he showed anything that has said this is a generational franchise quarterback the way we were promised? And I'm not even mad that we're making the excuses for him. I'm not even calling him a bust. My rule has always been 3 years, and I'm willing to throw the first one out the window because of Urban Meyer. But 2 things. 1, when Caleb Williams gets in the league, y'all better be this goddamn lenient with him too. And 2, if he becomes the highest paid player in NFL history this offseason, we kind of got to take the kid gloves off at that point, don't we? Last in the missionary position, we got, that's so funny to say out loud. We have the Indianapolis Colts. They went 9-8 with Gardner Minshew. I'm going to say that again for you. They went 9-8 with Gardner Minshew. If Anthony Richardson is even half as good as I think he's going to be next year, they're guaranteed 10 wins. And they have $72 million in cap room going into this offseason. That's more than enough to re-sign Michael Pittman and make sure Zaire Franklin gets his money. You already signed Jonathan Taylor. What do you need? Matter of fact, grab another receiver just in case. The offensive line looks like the offensive line again. Shane Steichen proved he's a great coach. This is an amazing situation and way better than Jim Irsay deserves. All right, that concludes our fucking losers list. I'm kidding. That concludes the teams that didn't make the playoffs list.